Good morning. A very warm welcome here at Alliander, Duiven location. Of all places, I think. It's a bit loud, the microphone. Good having you here. It's a very diverse group, I would say. Maybe to see where you are. It's at the Blob, near the German border. So we have a few locations within Alliander. One is here. It's a big location. Our head office is in Arnhem. And we also have a big office in Amsterdam. But for all kinds of reasons, we were only able to host it over here. So I apologize for having you travel that much. But at least you're here, and I'm really glad to that. What you also see is our area, the blue area, where we service our customers. So in the blue area, that's the Alliander domain. We host approximately 3 million customers with electricity and gas. And there's also other DSOs as well. Maybe for the non-electricity people, a DSO, the distribution system operator, distributes the energy from the main grid, the TSO, the transmission system operator, to the households. And that's our role, to make that happen every day. Who are also here are our two main speakers of today. I'm really excited about the presence today here, also in Duiven. That's Ibrahim Haddad, Vice President of Strategic Programs at the Linux Foundation, and John Aldema, co-founder and CTO at Fossit. We'll hear them today a lot. Next one, please. So this is the group of today you're sitting among. I think it's really diverse and a really interesting group to share experiences, to share knowledge, and to start actually cooperating, because as far as I'm concerned, that would be the main goal of today, to find each other. But if you can see, as you can see, there's DSOs, there's TSO present, suppliers, but also non-utility companies. I think it's a very interesting group. So why are we doing this? At Alliander we have a few issues in our grid today. And we saw them already coming, and we were preparing, but the speed at which the problems increase is at such a high level that we can't keep up with the physical extension and make the grid more heavy with the physical part of that. Meaning hands and cables doesn't work. So we need to become smarter, meaning digitization. Having a look at digitization, we see that we're not able to do that ourselves. It's too complex, the scale is too big, and the complexity is too high. So we have to cooperate, we have to do that together. And that's why we stepped in, unexperienced, and that's why we're hosting today also this session, to learn how to run a community, how to participate in a community, and how to co-create in an open source manner. So I'm also happy today, because we joined as a premier member last year. But today we do the official release under the umbrella of Linux Foundation Energy of Grid Exchange Fabric, which is a gateway actually to be able to agnostically communicate with devices in the field, independent of telecom and protocol. And we released that today. There will be a press release as well. And we're very excited that it happens also today. Maybe some general logistics. Emergency exit in case of an emergency is over here. And we group together on the parking lot outside if it happens. Wi-Fi, as far as I know, you have gotten a login code and a pass code. And otherwise, you can get it at me or Marlies. Where's Marlies? Marlies is over there. Restrooms, you already passed them. I think they're just around the corner there. It's not difficult to find. Coffee is over there. And any other question, suggestion, remark, issue, come to me or Marlies. And then I would like now to hand over to Julie.
You are on. This is really exciting. So, you spend months, you come up with an idea, and then you spend months making it happen. And really want to thank Arhan, to thank Marlies, and to thank all the people from Alliander who made this possible. This sounds very loud. No? It's okay? Okay. You want the flipper. So, we are videotaping the event, and the reason why I thought that it was a good idea to do that is that not everybody could get here today, and we really want to make this available to as many people as possible. I get requests all the time from India, from Africa, from Australia, and I want to make sure that they have this. And from my perspective, capacity building is incredibly important in order to be able to execute what we need to do. So that's the reason why we're making this available. But at the same time, want you to know, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. If you are uncomfortable or you want to talk about something, but you want it to be not recorded, please just say that. Really, I know that it takes a little bit of confidence to stand up and say, I want to say something, but I don't want it recorded. But please do that, because, optimally, we want to work under the Chatham House rules where, like whatever happens here stays here. But on the other hand, we really want to be able to make sure that the information gets out into the world, because the notion of open source is something that is loosely understood. And so we want to be able to really shift this in the energy sector so that people understand what we're talking about. So let us know if there's a problem. So my thanks to Alliander. You've been an incredible host. This is a beautiful, beautiful space. And I'm incredibly happy about GXF releasing today. So the world, I don't need to tell you guys this, that the world around energy has changed. Does anybody know what this number is?
Parts of CO2 in the atmosphere?
What?
Parts of CO2 in the atmosphere?
Yeah. So this was February 1st. This was December 31st. That is probably one of the fastest increases of 3 points in 1 month, and it's probably because of the fires in Australia. And the reason why I share this is that that this isn't going to be a linear experience. We don't know actually how it's going to work, and so it is absolutely critical and essential that we all work together. So LF Energy was, about 3 years ago, I went to the Lennox Foundation and I said, I'm looking for neutral. I'm looking for some place where, as an industry, we can work together. And they were like, well, that's what everybody does. They all want neutral, so sure. But it's taken actually a very step-by-step progress in order to be able to get to where we are today. And when we conceive of and imagine LF Energy, it really is to be able to provide the reference architectures, the code, the frameworks that are going to allow for the energy transition to happen at speed and scale, because we have a very short amount of time. And kind of in the narrative of our Genesis story, I went to the Lennox Foundation, and then about a year later, Lu Chen and a few of his colleagues came to the Lennox Foundation and wanted to know a lot about governance. And so one of the things that I want to say about what's different about what LF Energy is doing and what the Lennox Foundation has provided in the past is the governance frameworks that enable collective investment. And, there are 60 million GitHub sites. And so what's the difference between just open source and a GitHub site and what we're doing at the Linux Foundation? Well, there are 200 projects, and the code is really enterprise code. It is meant to scale at a global level. And, I started off in the enterprise information management space, started doing internet work in like 1996, 1997. So, that's my background. But from a governance perspective, what has happened at the Linux Foundation has truly enabled paradigm shifts. And one of the foundations of that is the capacity for pre-competitive alignment to occur because of transparency. So what we're doing at LF Energy is really building the foundations. And recently I was talking to an executive of one of the very large incumbent energy companies who said, well, our products could probably go out about 5 years, but after that we have no visibility. We have no idea how it's going to go, and we don't want to become Kodak, meaning we don't want to all of a sudden wake up one day and realize that the world around us has changed so profoundly that who we are no longer relevant. And so that is what we're trying to do here. So we have this need for speed, scale, and security, and mass collaboration. And so the business model of LF Energy, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the day, we have sought to create our membership fees. Well, first of all, anybody can participate in any project regardless of membership. All projects are open. That's the way it works. However, the need to support community is essential. And what we've done is created a membership tier that enables, that is geared towards having many participants. In other words, we're not looking for 5 anchor tenants of LF Energy to make the energy transition. We want hundreds of companies to participate. And so we've tried to structure it really in a very simple way where you have governing board and then you have general members, and that the fees are low enough that people can participate and become members so that we can do events like this for free for capacity building. And I find these facts pretty interesting, which is in the year of 2000, the technological change is happening so quickly that in 2013, the same speed of change that occurred in 2000 happened in 1 hour and 6 minutes. In 2020, it's going to occur at 20 seconds. And, I'm not 100% sure how they came up with these numbers, but there is a reference somewhere. But the point is that things are starting to happen so quickly that we really have to conceive of how we're going to manage this. And part of it is driven by, in the next 30 years, we're going to more than double the need of the electricity on the planet. So we can't do it the same way. We really, truly have to come up with a different paradigm. And the cost of cybersecurity has also increased radically. One of our colleagues, Feder Skogard from EnergyNet, refers to it as security by obscurity. We can't do that anymore. And so part of what we're trying to do here is get things in the open so that we can actually begin to do this work so that we can scale in a safe and secure manner. And then talent is also really a tremendous problem. And so part of the capacity building is to really be able to develop talent to be able to execute this. So I want to very quickly go through something. I don't know how I'm doing with time, but one of the problems that we have, I think, in energy is silos and domains. And basically, that's the way things get done. There are basically 4 domains: science, engineering, design, and art. And, we've existed primarily in this engineering perspective. But part of what I really want to encourage us, and the reason why I'm taking the time to do this at the outset, is that I want us to begin thinking differently. And I believe that that's one of the things from an encouragement standpoint that we can be doing here. So typically what's happened, up until now is that if you're a citizen in one, you're a tourist in the other. In other words, you don't have art and science working together, art and design working together. And what we really, this model that I'm about to show you actually comes from the MIT Media Lab. And the reason why I'm sharing it is I think that there's something we can learn here because this is a very multidisciplinary group. And I think the deeper we get into this, the farther we get into this, the more multidisciplinary we're going to need to be. So, what my wish is that we become, constant travelers in a border-free approach to solving our great problems, and that is the path forward. And that we think of it as holistic and integrative, that we really conceive of systems as living systems and not just kind of abstracted systems, but that we really think about how do healthy systems actualize themselves, and that we also really seek to not contradict the laws of nature. A lot of what we are suffering from with regards to the climate crisis really have to do with contradicting the laws of nature. So in the model that I'm proposing is that I want to be able to dissolve the barriers between these things and really begin to create a holistic frame where these things exist together. And so the information that we have that gets created and goes through the lens of science actually comes out the other side as knowledge, and that the knowledge goes through engineering and develops utility, and that the utility goes through design and shifts behavior, and that art captures that behavior and actually begins to create a holistic system. And I know that this is abstract. The person who I would reference around this is a woman named Neri Oxman at MIT Lab, and I would encourage all of you to go take a look at her work because she's a materials engineer, and she has brought together a very interesting team to reimagine in a multidisciplinary way how we use materials. I would propose we have to do the same thing in energy and power, and that's what we're really trying to do here. So we have to achieve our goals. That's what we're doing. I'm going to turn it over to Ibrahim and John. And so I have a great affinity for people who are both scholars and practitioners, because to be a practitioner but without understanding kind of the terrain in which something exists, I think leaves you exposed. But on the other hand, to be a scholar without practice also makes it quite empty. And so from my perspective, Ibrahim is one of the world's great scholar practitioners around open source. And I appreciate that you got on an airplane, flew at 550 miles an hour, hurtling through the air, and ended up here yesterday. And thank you very much. And we'll introduce John or you can introduce John when he comes up. Thank you.
Thank you.